happens the same way every summer. The sun goes down over the barn, the day cools off. You sit out on the porch with a glass of iced tea to enjoy the fireflies coming out. And within about 30 seconds they find you. First one mosquito on your ankle, then two on your neck, then a dozen buzzing around your ears until you finally give up and go back inside. You have tried the citronella candles that do almost nothing. You have tried the sprays that leave your skin sticky and smelling like a chemistry lab. You have tried the little electric zappers that catch every insect on your property, except for mosquitoes. And every summer, you end up covered in bites, scratching for 3 days straight, and the whole family stops sitting outside after supper. Now I want to tell you something remarkable. I learned recently that I think will change the way you handle mosquitoes on your property forever. There is a place in this country, 43 square miles of what used to be pure Florida swamp, the kind of stagnant marshland where you would expect mosquitoes to breed by the billions. Almost 80 different mosquito species live within a few miles of this place. 58,000 people walk through it every single day in the middle of a Florida summer, many of them small children on open-air paths, eating popcorn and ice cream in the humid heat. And somehow, almost nobody gets a single bite. That place is Disney World. And when I first heard how they do it, I could hardly believe my ears, because every single piece of what they do can be copied on any homestead, any farm, or any suburban backyard for pocket change. So today, I am going to walk you through the 5 old-fashioned layers that Disney uses to keep an entire swamp mosquito-free, and I will show you how to build every one of them on your own property for less than $50 total. Hello friends, my name is Henry. Thank you to everyone who commented on our last video about the wasps and the yellow jackets. I read every single one of them with my morning coffee. On this channel, we share the slow old ways, the practical, honest knowledge that used to pass over the fence from neighbor to neighbor. And what I love about this Disney mosquito story is that it is exactly that same kind of knowledge, just applied at a giant scale. The man who designed the mosquito system at Disney learned everything he knew from the men who solved this problem 100 years ago in one of the darkest chapters in engineering history. Stay with me till the end, because the 4th and 5th layers are the ones almost nobody knows about, and they will completely change how you think about protecting your porch, your garden, and your children this summer. All right, before I walk you through the 5 layers, let me tell you the story that started it all, because you cannot understand why any of this works without knowing the terrible lesson behind it. Back in 1882, the French were building the Panama Canal, and their workers were dying by the thousands from mosquito-borne diseases. Yellow fever, malaria, everything. So the French built what they thought was a state-of-the-art hospital on a hill above Panama City to save their workers. Beautiful gardens, clean wards, everything a modern hospital was supposed to have. And in those wards, to keep the ants from crawling up onto the patients at night, the nurses put each leg of every bed into a small cup of fresh water. To protect the flower gardens outside, every plant pot was set into a ceramic ring filled with water. Now hear what I just said. Cups of standing water under every single bed. Rings of standing water around every single flower pot. In a hospital where patients were already dying from mosquito-borne disease, the French had accidentally built a mosquito breeding farm inside the very hospital that was supposed to be saving lives. At the worst of it, 3 out of every 4 patients admitted to that hospital died. 22,000 workers died on that canal project before the French finally gave up and went home bankrupt. When the Americans took the project over, they sent in a military doctor named William Gorgas, who had already cleaned up yellow fever in Cuba. And what Gorgas taught the world became the single most important lesson in mosquito control we know. We do not kill mosquitoes. We destroy the conditions they need to exist. Drain every puddle, cover every ditch, screen every window, and you starve them out of a place. A young engineer named Joe Potter worked in that same canal zone decades later and learned that lesson down to the bone. And in 1964, Joe Potter met a man named Walt Disney at the World's Fair in New York, and Walt told him he was planning to build the biggest theme park on Earth on top of a Florida swamp. Joe Potter smiled because he already knew exactly what to do. Walt Disney hired him on the spot. Now here is where the 5 layers begin. And here is how you build each one on your own property. The first layer is drainage. Before Disney ever poured a foundation, Joe Potter's crews dug 47 miles of drainage canals across the whole property, along with 22 miles of levees and 24 water control gates. What makes this system a marvel of engineering is that the whole network runs on gravity alone. No pumps, no electricity, no computers. The floodgates simply float open when the water rises and close when it drops. That system has been running continuously since 1971, more than 50 years without a single interruption. The workers there still call those channels Joe's ditches. And if you take the ferry across the Seven Seas Lagoon at the park, the boat is even named after him. But most guests have no idea he ever existed. Now on your homestead, you do not need 47 miles of canals. You need something far simpler. You walk your property with a bucket after a good rainstorm, and you find every single place where water sits still for more than 2 days. That is the golden rule. Mosquito needs about 48 hours of undisturbed water to lay her eggs. So the clogged rain gutter on your porch, the old tire behind the barn holding rainwater, the plant saucer under your tomato pot, the wheelbarrow left out uncovered, the bird bath you have not changed in a week, the low spot in your driveway where rain always puddles up, every single one of those is a mosquito nursery. Drain them, dump them, fill them, or fix the drainage so water flows through instead of sitting. That is layer 1, and it is the single most important thing you will ever do. Nothing else on this list matters if you skip this step. Now, drainage handles the water on the ground, but mosquitoes do not need a whole swamp. They just need enough water to fill a bottle cap sitting still for 2 days. That means water on your roof, water in the crook of a tree branch, water pooling on a window ledge after a thunderstorm. And this brings us to layer 2, which is architecture and landscaping. If you ever look up at Disney World, you will notice something odd about their buildings. Every roof comes to a sharp point. Every eave curves. Every wall bows outward at the base. There is not a flat ledge or a horizontal windowsill anywhere in the park. When it rains, water sheets off every surface immediately and runs straight into hidden drains. The famous castle was designed to look like a fairy tale, but it was also designed to be deadly to mosquitoes. And the same thinking goes into every one of the 13 million plants growing on the property. Every single species was chosen because its leaves shed water rather than cup it. Even the grass drains faster than regular lawn turf, so it does not puddle after Florida's afternoon thunderstorms. Now on your homestead, this looks a little different, but the principle is exactly the same. Walk around your house after a rainstorm and look for anywhere water is sitting. Are your gutters holding water because they are clogged with leaves? Clean them out. Is your porch sagging in a spot that catches puddles? Fix the slope. Are there flat ledges on the outside of your house where water pools? Cover them or angle them. Are there tarps in your yard collecting rain in the folds? Fold them up and store them properly. And when you are choosing new plants for the garden, pick ones with narrow tapered leaves that shed water instead of wide cup-shaped leaves that catch it. This is layer 2, and it costs you nothing but a couple of hours on a Saturday morning. Now, some water on your property you cannot drain and should not drain. Your pond, your rain barrel, your stock trough, the little garden pool your grandkids like to look into. Disney has the same problem. They have a 200-acre lagoon and a moat around the castle, and dozens of ponds and rivers. So how do they keep those from breeding mosquitoes? Layer 3, they move the water and they stock it with fish. Every single body of water inside the park is in motion. Fountains churn the surface. Rides push thousands of gallons of water through channels every hour. Underground pipes connect the lakes and quietly cycle water, even when the surface looks perfectly still. Because remember, a mosquito needs still water for 48 hours. If your water never sits still that long, no mosquito can lay her eggs in it. On your homestead, this means adding a small fountain or a solar bubbler to your pond, or a simple circulation pump to your rain barrel, something to keep the surface always gently moving. But even better than that, Disney stocks every single body of water on the property with a little fish called the mosquito fish. Their scientific name is Gambizia. They are only about 2 inches long, and their mouths are turned upward specifically so they can eat right at the water surface, which is exactly where mosquito larvae live. A single female mosquito fish eats up to 500 larvae every single day. 500. And here is the beautiful part for you as a homesteader. Most county mosquito control offices in the United States will give you a bucket of these fish for free if you just ask. Free. Drop them into your pond, your stock trough, your rain barrel, and they take care of the mosquito problem while you sleep. That is layer 3. Now, drainage handles the groundwater, architecture handles the surface water, and the fish handle the standing water. But what about the mosquitoes that hatch somewhere off your property and just fly in across your fence line? None of the layers so far can stop those, and this is where things get truly interesting. Layer 4. Walt Disney had a hard rule at his park. No chemical pesticides anywhere near the guests. He did not want families walking through insecticide clouds or eating cotton candy coated with chemical residue. So his team went hunting for something natural that mosquitoes could not stand. What they found was garlic. Now hear me out on this because it sounds like an old wives' tale, but the science on this is remarkable. When garlic cells are crushed, they release a sulfur compound that overwhelms a mosquito's sense of smell, and mosquitoes find you by smelling your breath and your body heat. If you overwhelm their sense of smell, they cannot find you at all. Disney sprays a very dilute garlic extract across the entire park on a regular schedule. And here is the amazing part. The concentration is calibrated so low that your nose cannot even detect it. You will never smell garlic at the park. But a mosquito's sense of smell is thousands of times more sensitive than ours. So what is invisible to you is a wall to them. And to make sure no faint hint of garlic ever reaches a guest, Disney runs patented scent machines that pump out the smell of vanilla cookies near the bakeries, salt water and damp wood near the pirate rides, and cinnamon churros down the main street. You are walking through an invisible garlic barrier while smelling churros, and you have no idea any of it is happening. Now on your homestead, you can do the exact same thing for about $1. You buy a bottle of garlic barrier concentrate online, or you make your own by crushing a whole head of garlic into a spray bottle full of water and letting it steep overnight. Then you spray it around the perimeter of your yard, along your fence line, around the porch, and near any spot where the family likes to sit outside. It lasts about 2 weeks between applications. Your family will not smell it after it dries. Neither will your neighbors. But the mosquitoes will disappear. That is layer 4. Now the last layer. This is the one I love the most because you can start it today with things you might already have on your homestead. Layer 5 is a surveillance and biological army. Even with all 4 other layers running, Disney knows some mosquitoes will still slip through. So they have carbon dioxide traps sitting at strategic locations across the whole property. Because carbon dioxide mimics the breath of a living animal and draws mosquitoes right in. Disney's entomology team collects those traps, freezes the specimens, and analyzes them species by species, so they know exactly which mosquitoes are showing up and where. But here is the part that will absolutely stop you in your tracks. Hidden in small coops around the edges of the property, they keep flocks of what they call sentinel chickens, regular healthy chickens that live outside and get bitten by whatever mosquitoes are in the area. Chickens do not get sick from mosquito-borne diseases like West Nile or Eastern equine encephalitis, but their blood develops antibodies that show up in a weekly blood draw. So if a chicken near a certain corner of the park suddenly tests positive for West Nile, the team knows exactly where infected mosquitoes are active, and they can take action before a single guest is at risk. Those chickens cannot tell anyone they have been bitten, but their blood tells the scientists everything they need to know. Now, my farming friends, does that concept ring any bells? Because we have kept chickens on our properties for generations. And while I am not asking you to become an entomologist, I am telling you that having a small flock of hens on your property is one of the oldest and most effective mosquito controls known to man. Chickens eat insects all day long. Guineas are even better. They will hunt bugs across your whole yard from sunrise to sunset. And on top of that, Disney has what they call a biological air force. Bat boxes scattered across the property, because a single brown bat eats over 1,000 insects every hour. Purple martin nesting boxes disguised as decorative fixtures, because a purple martin family will clean out a whole yard of flying insects in a single season. And parasitic wasps and dragonflies, whose entire diet is mosquito larvae. On your homestead, this means putting up a bat house on a tall pole at least 15 feet off the ground, mounting a purple martin house near your garden, letting your dragonflies breed in a small ornamental water feature with fish in it, and above all, welcoming a chicken flock onto your property. Every one of these creatures is working for you around the clock, and none of them costs more than about $25 to house. So let me pull the whole system together for you. 5 layers, all doable at home for under $50 total. First, drainage. Walk your property, Find every place water sits still for more than 2 days and drain it, dump it, or fill it. Second, architecture and landscaping. Clean your gutters. Fix low spots that puddle. Remove tarps and containers that collect rain, and pick plants with narrow leaves that shed water. Third, moving water and mosquito fish. Add a bubbler or pump to your pond or rain barrel, and get a free bucket of mosquito fish from your county. Fourth, garlic spray. About $1 a bottle, sprayed around the perimeter every 2 weeks. And fifth, the biological army. Chickens or guineas on the ground, purple martins in the sky, bats up high, and dragonflies in the water. That is the whole system Disney uses on 43 square miles, scaled down to your backyard for pocket change. And here is the honest truth. It is not always going to be enough. In 2016, when the Zika virus swept through Florida, even Disney's 5 layers were not enough. And for the first time in 45 years, they had to break Walt's rule and use chemical sprays. So if there is ever a real outbreak of a mosquito-borne disease in your area, listen to your local health authorities and take whatever protective measures they recommend. But for the everyday summer misery of just wanting to sit on your porch without getting eaten alive, these 5 layers will get you almost all of the way there for less than the cost of 1 bottle of the fancy chemical repellent that does not really work anyway. Now, I would love to hear from you down in the comments. Tell me which of these 5 layers you already have on your property without knowing it. I am guessing many of you already have chickens, and I am guessing more than a few of you have gutters that need cleaning today. Tell me what your grandmother or your grandfather did to keep the mosquitoes down when you were a child, because those old family tricks are exactly the kind of knowledge that gets lost when nobody writes them down, and I read every single comment. Tell me where you are watching from too, because I love seeing all the different corners of this country, and beyond that our little community reaches. And if this video helped you understand something you did not before, please do me a small favor and hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps this channel keep going, and it is the only way we can keep making these videos for you. Next time, I am going to walk you through the 4 invisible layers that grocery stores and food warehouses used to keep every single insect out of the buildings where our food is stored. The first layer traces all the way back to flour merchants in ancient Persia, who guarded it as a military secret for hundreds of years. And the third layer is something a janitor puts down every single shift, without even knowing that it is a weapon. It is the natural next step after today. Until then, drain the water, welcome the chickens, spray the garlic, and remember that the best pest control on any homestead was quietly figured out generations before the chemical companies ever came along and tried to sell us something better. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.